At first glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the new Mini is nothing but a slightly bigger copy of the model it replaces, but you'd be wrong. Every external panel is new, while the inside is also completely redesigned and updated. Believe it or not, the previous Mini first appeared in July 2001 and surprised even BMW with its runaway success. So the new car has a tough act to follow. Externally, the car is marginally bigger than the old one. Not that you'd notice. The designers have clearly taken "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" as their inspiration, so you'd be hard-pressed to tell the two apart, unless they were side by side. Boot space is still a little on the cramped side, but it will take a couple of bags. Just think hand baggage rather than suitcase. Rear legroom isn't at all bad, although I doubt you'd want to go any great distance cooped up in the rear. The front seats are comfortable, while the optional chili pack on our test car included half leather. The dashboard is still dominated by a huge central speedo with switchgear below the built-in radio and CD and a rev counter in front of the driver. One of the biggest changes, though, is what's under the bonnet. All new engines power the new Mini, with the Cooper S getting a turbocharger rather than the supercharger in the old model, while the Cooper, now has a brand new 1.6-litre 120 bhp motor. Both, incidentally, are built at BMW's Hams Hall plant in the Midlands. The Cooper also gets a 6-speed manual transmission, while another touch I really liked was this transponder key fob, which slides into a slot on the dash, and then a starter button is used to start and stop the engine. Along with its looks, the old Mini's biggest attraction was the way it drove. Any fears, though, that the go-kart-like handling has been compromised were quickly dispelled. The design is still a wheel-at-each-corner affair, and so the new car is still a great drive. The Cooper, is likely to be the best seller. After all, over half the previous model's sales were achieved by the mid-range car, although it's not the most rewarding to drive. The Cooper S is brilliant fun. 0 to 62 takes just 7 seconds, while the top speed from the 175 bhp engine is 140 miles an hour. Fuel economy is nearly 41 miles to the gallon, incidentally. The Cooper is less hardcore than its bigger brother. The normally aspirated engine means you have to use the gearbox much more if you want it to perform, although fuel economy of nearly 50 mpg is the reward. It takes 2 seconds longer than the S to hit 62 miles an hour from rest, with a top speed of 126 miles an hour. The Cooper and Cooper S were the first models to reach showrooms, being launched on what would have been the 100th birthday of the father of the original Mini, Sir Alec Issigonis. A base Mini 1, a diesel, and a couple of other models will follow, although the previous Cabriolet will continue in production for a while yet. Standard equipment on the Cooper includes front and side airbags, ABS, disc brakes all round, and an alarm, while the Cooper S gets bigger alloys, run-flat tyres, a honeycomb radiator grille, and a sport button that sharpens up the steering and alters the throttle response. The car's biggest flaw, however, is one familiar to buyers of the previous Mini: the price. At £13,000 for the Cooper and £16,000 for the S, the basic cars aren't cheap, but once you start adding options such as aircon, dynamic stability control, bigger alloys or sat-nav, the price creeps steadily higher. This car was over £2,000 more than a basic Cooper, while the Cooper S we drove cost an extra £4,000 over one without the bells and whistles. There are cheaper cars on the market then, but they're not Minis, and for tens of thousands of buyers that's all that matters. The badge, the looks, and that brilliant handling all mean the new car will carry on where the old one left off.